Hey Goblin, you've been really practicing those war drums. I'll bring the generic Goblin noise!
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. with free weekly content and free shipping on orders over $150. You can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMudsta. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang. Before we get into today's game, I want to talk about one of today's sponsors, Enhanced Gaming. Enhanced Gaming makes products for hobby spaces like Magic the Gathering, board games, and tabletop wargaming. I was recently sent their RPG travel case to test out and see what I think. And I gotta say, I'm really impressed with their high quality construction and well thought out design. It's solidly built and has a ton of storage space. Plus, these heavy duty zippers mean your stuff isn't going anywhere fast. The RPG case comes with 3 side pockets for anything from dice to life total pads. The bag itself has 2 main compartments, and the top has a foamed in recess for your miniatures, which can come out if you're not using it. The main compartment comes with 2 Velcro secured dividers. It can easily hold over 4 players' manuals, and you can also take out the dividers if you'd like, which frees up a ton of space for Magic the Gathering deck boxes. There's even 2 securing tighteners on the front for your tabletop RPG mat or playmat. If you're interested in this bag or any of their other products, visit the link in the description below, or use the code MUDSTA10 to get 10% off your orders for the next 30 days. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game finds Felix, Seb, and Maxim back in my basement, and I've decided to let them out and play some games. Seb has built Sythis, Harvester's Hand, keeping Rancor, Command Tower, Path to Exile, Fertile Ground, and 3 forests. Maxim is playing his old tried and true Gavi deck, keeping a Rogran Triome, a Mountain, Arcane Signet, Azorius Signet, Sarah Paragon, Mangara the Diplomat, and a Mad Ratter. I'm sure people are already upset that I'm playing my Miirym deck, but I don't care because I like dragons, and I keep an Arcane Signet, a Snow-Covered Mountain, Phantasmal Image, 2 Snow-Covered Forests, Hinterland Harbor, and Aggravated Assault. Felix is still riding high from his Kamiz win, keeping Rafine's Tower, Creeping Tar Pit, Orzhov Signet, Swords to Plowshares, Swamp, Deep Gnome Terramancer, and a Flawless Maneuver. Felix wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws and plays a tapped Rafine's Tower. Seb's got a Command Tower as his land for turn before passing to Maxim. Max plays a tapped Rogran Triome and passes to me. I display a Snow-Covered Forest, passing. Felix plays a tapped Creeping Tar Pit and ships the turn. Seb plays a Forest and is then able to cast Sythis for a green and a white and passes. Maxim plays a Mountain and taps 2 for an Arcane Signet. He then taps the Signet to cycle Ash Barrens and goes to find a basic for hand. I play a Hinterland Harbor and cast my own Arcane Signet and pass. Felix draws and plays a Plains. He then casts Orzhov Signet and then still has enough mana for an Una's Blackguard and passes after that. Seb draws and plays a Forest. He casts a Rites of Flourishing, gaining a life and drawing a card from his commander's trigger, and passes to Max. Max draws his 2 and plays a Reliquary Tower and a Plains. He's got enough for Gavi on turn 3, which is surprising, and he passes after that. I draw my 2 and play a Snow-Covered Forest and then a Snow-Covered Mountain. I then tap a blue, a green, and a red for a Temur Ascendancy and pass turn. Felix draws 2 and plays a Chokes Estuary, revealing an island, and then plays that very island. He then casts Kamiz, and gets to put a +1/+1 counter onto his commander thanks to Una's Blackguard. He then moves to combat. He swings the Blackguard at Maxim, giving the Connive trigger to it, and discards an Esper Panorama. Max only takes the 1, and after that, Felix passes. Seb draws his 2 and plays a Forest and a Plains. He then casts Fertile Grounds onto the Plains, drawing a card from Sythis, and then plays Sterling Grove, drawing another card and gaining more life. Going to combat, he pokes me with Sythis for 1 and passes. Max draws his 2 and makes a cat token thanks to Gavi seeing that happen. He then casts an Azorius Signet, and then drops a Mad Ratter. With no lands to play though, he has to pass. I draw 2 and play a snow-covered forest. I cast Miirym and draw a card off the Temur Ascendancy as it enters. Going to combat, I swing Miirym back at Seb, but he has Path to Exile and has the mana for the Ward 2. My commander is exiled, and I grab a snow-covered island and pass. Felix draws his 2 and plays a swamp. He plays an Aerial Extortionist, which as it enters, exiles Maxim's Mad Ratter, and he then goes to combat. He swings Kamiz at me and Una at Seb, conniving with Kamiz and discarding a land and giving the Blackguard double strike. I take the 3 and Seb takes 2 in total, and I also have to discard a card because of Una's Blackguard seeing Kamiz have a +1/+1 counter. And after that, Felix passes. Seb draws his 2 and plays a Stetson Champion in his main phase. He then casts Paladin class, drawing 2 cards and gaining 1 life from the triggers before playing a Plains. He follows that up with an Eidolon of Blossoms, drawing 3 this time around and gaining 1 life and adding some counters to his champion. Seb then casts Rancor on his commander, drawing another 3, gaining another life and adding another counter to the champion, and then moves to combat. He swings Sythis at me and deals 3, and once his combat step is done, Seb moves to discard and passes to Max. Max draws his 2, making a cat token, and then plays an island for turn and a drifting meadow which comes in tapped. He then plays Mangara the Diplomat, and then an Astral Drift and passes. I draw my 2, and in my main phase, cast Blasphemous Act. Felix responds casting Flawless Maneuver, and Max then responds with a free cycle of Irrigated Farmland to exile Gavi until end of turn and protect her. The board wipe mostly affects the tokens and Seb at this point, and once it's done, I follow up with a Dragon Tempest and then a Garruk's Uprising and pass my turn. Felix draws his 2 and plays 2 swamps. He then goes to combat, swinging Kamiz and the Blackguard at Seb. He connives and discards a Deep Gnome Terramancer, boosting Kamiz's power. Seb then takes a total of 5 and discards a card, and after that, Felix passes. Seb draws 2, playing out a Plains and a Canopy Vista. He recasts Sythis, and then plays Utopia Sprawl onto the Canopy Vista, choosing white, and drawing a card and gaining a life. He follows that up with Solitary Confinement, drawing again and gaining 1. Max draws 2 and makes a cat token, and then plays a Scalding Tarn. He cracks it, losing 1 to find a mountain. He then plays a Serra Paragon, and plays the Scalding Tarn from his graveyard again, gaining 2 from the Paragon, and then cracking the Tarn again, and going to find a tapped Steam Vents. Max then follows up with an Izzet Signet, and then a Rhystic Study, and passes to me. I draw 2, and play a Breeding Pool untapped, taking 2. I then play a Goldspan Dragon, dealing 1 to Max's face with Dragon Tempest, and drawing from the Ascendancy and Garruk's Uprising. I then play a Phantasmal Image as another Goldspan Dragon, dealing 2 more to Max's face and drawing 2 more. Moving to combat, I swing both dragons at Felix and make 2 treasure tokens. Felix responds with an Ink Shield, and in response to that, Maxim cycles Yadaro and uses the Astral Drift to exile my original Goldspan Dragon until end of turn. At this point, Felix negates only 4 damage this way, making 4 Inkling tokens. In my post-combat main phase, I crack my treasures to help cast Skyshroud Claim, finding a Sheltered Thicket and a Stomping Ground. After that, my Goldspan Dragon returns at the end of turn, and I draw 2, and then discard down to 7, and pass. Felix draws 2, and plays a Plains and a Prairie Stream. He casts a Swiftfoot Boots, and the Madomai. he equips him onto Midgame and goes to combat. He swings Midgame at me and the Extortionist at max, conniving on Midgame and discarding the swords to the plowshares to give it +1/+1. He also has the Extortionist gain double strike, and I then take 5 while Maxim takes 8. The Extortionist goes to exile Seb's Sterling Grove and my Dragon Tempest, and in response, Seb casts a Teferi's Protection to phase out. Max also responds with Mystical Tutor, grabbing and putting on top a Fierce Guardianship, and then cycles Forsake the Worldly, getting to draw a card, and targets my Phantasmal Image with the Astral Drift, so I'm forced to sacrifice it. He then casts the Fierce Guardianship and counters the Teferi's Protection, and Felix then moves to his second turn. Felix draws 2 again and plays a Darkwater Catacombs. He then casts a main phase Return to Dust, exiling Paladin class and Solitary Confinement from Seb. Moving to combat, he swings the Aerial Extortionist at max and Kamiz at Seb. He connives again, discarding Arcane Signet to boost the Extortionist's power and giving Kamiz double strike. Both Max and Seb then take the hits, with Max discarding a card and Seb discarding 2. The Extortionist then exiles the Astral Drift, and after that, Felix passes. Seb draws 2 and casts an Enchantress's Presence, drawing 1 and gaining 1 from his commander. He then casts a Sterling Grove from exile because of the Extortionist, which draws him 2 cards and Felix gets to draw 1. He then casts a Courser of Kruphix, drawing 2 more, and then plays a Savannah. Seb then follows up with a Blind Obedience, drawing 2 more, and then casts Trudge Garden, drawing another 2. Once all that's done, he casts Rancor back onto his commander, drawing 2 more, and then moves to the discard, and passes while pitching down to 7. Max draws 2 and makes a cat token, and then plays an Adhikar Wastes. He then plays Shared Animosity, and a Mirror Entity to go with it. He activates the Mirror Entity before going to combat, putting 4 into the X, and swings all cat tokens and Gavi at me. I block a cat with the Goldspan Dragon, but promptly die. In Max's second main phase, he plays a Glacial Fortress from his graveyard, thanks to the Serra Paragon, and passes. Felix draws and plays a Ghostly Pilferer. Going to combat, he swings the Extortionist at Maxim and Midgame and 4 Inklings at Seb. He gets to connive onto the Extortionist and gives Midgame double strike. Maxim unfortunately can't block the Extortionist and takes 6, while Seb takes a whopping 17. Felix also gets 2 extra turns and passes to his next one. On his first extra turn, Felix draws 2 and plays a Swamp. He then casts a Sun Titan, bringing an Arcane Signet back, and goes to combat. He swings Kamiz, the Extortionist, and the Inklings at Seb, conniving with Kamiz to give him unblockable. Felix discards a land to the connive trigger, and Seb then takes the hit, dropping a 6. After that, Felix goes to his second extra turn. On his third turn for this round, Felix draws 2 and then goes to combat. He swings Kamiz at Seb, and the Sun Titan, Extortionist, Una's Blackguard, and Inklings at Maxim. Kamiz connives and deals lethal commander damage to Seb, and with nothing to block, Maxim also takes lethal as well, giving Felix the game. Game review time. So, a lot of people are probably wondering why Maxim decided to target and take me out on that turn with the Shared Animosity, and honestly he was 100% in the right. I had a way to remove the Blind Obedience in hand, and I was about to have an explosive turn, likely killing all of them in one go. I really like Maxim's take on Gavi. I like that some of its payoffs are built around having so many cat tokens, and he's really leaned into the cycling aspect without going for broken combos like Decree of Silence and Solemnity. Sythis just drew Seb so many cards the same. My goodness. It was what, on average 2 to 3 cards per enchantment he cast? I think he actually got through half of his library just drawing so many cards. It was nuts. And once more, Kamiz is an awesome Esper commander. I love Kniv's mechanic, and I love the fact that we see an Esper commander that isn't just trying to hard control the game, but instead just beat face. Awesome. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.